chosen one, stop right there. You've been hated, envied, pushed to the edges of every room you've ever walked into. And the worst part, nobody, not your family, not your pastor, not even you, has ever been able to explain why. Until tonight. What I'm about to tell you is the truth they never wanted you to find. The answer to the question that's been eating at you since you were 7 years old, sitting alone at the lunch table. The explanation for why your own family treats you like a stranger. The reason your coworkers form their little circles and somehow you're never invited in. This is the secret pain you've carried your whole life. What's wrong with me? You've asked it 1,000 times, whispered it into your pillow at 30 a.m., wondered it while sitting in church pews surrounded by people who smile at you but never really see you. Even now, with grey in your hair, with 70, 80 years of life behind you, you still don't fully understand why you've been the odd one out in almost every season. But here's what's going to shatter everything you thought you knew. You've been asking the wrong question. Tonight, God is flipping that question on its head. What's right about you that the enemy is so terrified of? Listen to me carefully. That tension you feel when you walk into a room before you even open your mouth, that's not in your head. Those family members who roll their eyes when you speak, that's not random. Those church folks who keep you at arm's length while embracing everyone else, that's not about your personality. It's about what you carry, and they can feel it even when they can't name it. Before we go deeper, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and let the Spirit lead your heart. If you stay with me through this message, we're going to walk layer by layer through the real, spiritual reason the majority hates chosen ones. And I'm going to show you why that hatred, that rejection is actually proof of who you are. In about 10 minutes, I'm going to reveal the one pattern that explains almost every rejection you've faced since childhood. But not yet. First, you need to understand something deeper. If your spirit is already stirring as I'm talking, type "I'm listening" in the comments right now. Let heaven and hell know you're not running from the truth anymore. Because here's what they've been hiding from you your whole life. You were never meant to fit in with the majority, because you were never from the majority. Now listen to me carefully, because what I'm about to tell you will answer questions you've been carrying since childhood. You see, the world has twisted this term chosen one into something mystical, something untouchable, something that makes people think of superheroes in movies or prophets on mountaintops. But that's not what we're talking about here. Not even close. Let me take you to the Word. 1 Kings chapter 19. The prophet Elijah is running for his life, hiding in a cave, convinced he's the only one left who still follows God. He's exhausted, isolated, certain he's alone in his calling. And in that moment of complete despair, God speaks to him. I have reserved for myself 7,000 in Israel, all whose knees have not bowed to Baal. 7,000, set apart, unknown even to Elijah himself. You see, God has always had a remnant, always. A group of people who couldn't bow even when everyone around them was bowing. Not because they were perfect. Not because they had it all figured out. But because something inside them refused to bend. That's you, dear one. That's who you are. Being chosen doesn't mean you're flawless. It means you're set apart, called, refined by fire that most people will never walk through because they'd rather compromise than burn. Let me tell you what I've seen in chosen ones over 50 years of walking with God's people. These aren't theories. These are patterns I've watched play out in living rooms from Brooklyn to the Bronx, in church basements and hospital waiting rooms across this country. chosen ones see through illusions. When everyone at the family dinner table is pretending everything's fine, you're the one who feels the tension crackling like electricity. You're the one who can't just smile and play along. You walk into a room and you just know when something's wrong, even if nobody's said a word. You feel energy that others miss. Some people call it discernment. Some call it intuition. But you know it's deeper than that. It's a frequency you've been tuned to since before you understood what it meant. And here's the one that's probably cost you the most. You can't live a lie. Not even a comfortable one. Not even when keeping quiet would make your life so much easier. Even back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, when everyone around you was following the same script: get married, get a job, don't ask questions, don't make waves, you felt something was off. You watched your family repeat the same broken cycles generation after generation, and something inside you said, this doesn't have to be this way. You couldn't language it back then, but you felt it, and that feeling has followed you for 70, 80 years. You ask questions everyone else is afraid to ask, at family gatherings, at church, in your own mind at 3 in the morning. Questions like, why are we doing it this way? And, what if we're wrong? And, is this really all there is? Those questions made people uncomfortable. Still do. Let me give you a picture that'll make this clear. Think about a lighthouse, solid, unmovable, standing on rocks while waves crash against it decade after decade. That lighthouse doesn't chase ships. It doesn't move toward anyone. It just stands there and shines. Some ships see that light and move toward it, desperate for guidance, grateful for something steady in the storm. But other ships curse that light. They're comfortable in the dark. They've learned to navigate by their own broken compass, and that bright, steady beam exposes how lost they really are. You are that lighthouse, chosen one. You've been standing in the same spot, shining the same light for decades. Some people have run to you. Others have cursed you. But here's what you need to understand. It's the same light. The light didn't change. Your heart didn't change. What you carry didn't change. What changed was who was looking at you and what they were ready to see. This is why you've had friendships that lasted 20 years suddenly turn cold. This is why family members who once loved you now keep their distance. This is why people who used to call you for advice now roll their eyes when you speak. In a few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why your light makes some people suddenly turn on you, even after years of closeness. But first, you need to settle something in your spirit. If you're hearing your own life in this description, pause for a second and just write, "That's me," in the comments. You're not crazy. You're just chosen. Because here's the truth that's going to set you free and break your heart at the same time. The hate you've experienced your whole life was never about your personality. It was never about you being too much or not enough. It was never about you needing to change who you are or how you show up. The hate isn't about your personality, it's about your assignment. And that assignment, that light you carry, it threatens something in people that they don't even understand themselves. Something that makes them react with a fury that shocks even them. But why? What is it about you that triggers such visceral rejection? What are you carrying that the enemy is so desperate to extinguish? Now we get to the part they don't want you to hear. The truth that makes religious people uncomfortable and regular folks angry. But you're still here, so you're ready for it. The majority doesn't hate you because you're bad. They hate you because your existence exposes their compromise. Let me say that again slower. Your very presence, just you being you, reveals the lies they've been telling themselves for decades. And nobody wants to face that mirror at 2 a.m. when they can't sleep. You see, dear one, most people live in a carefully constructed illusion. They wear masks so long they forget their own face. They avoid responsibility, dodge hard truths, and convince themselves that comfort equals blessing. They've made peace with mediocrity and called it wisdom. They've baptized their fear and renamed it prudence. But then you walk into the room, and everything shifts. You didn't say anything controversial. You didn't preach at them. You didn't judge them. You just showed up carrying something they recognize but can't name. And suddenly their illusion starts cracking. The mask feels heavy. The compromise tastes bitter. Here's the truth that's going to set you free and make you dangerous at the same time. You are not the problem. You're the mirror. When they see your integrity, they see their own lies staring back at them. When they see your courage to stand alone, they face their own fear of rejection. When they see you choosing the narrow road, they remember all the times they took the easy path and called it discernment. You ever notice how a clean window makes a dirty floor look worse? That's you. You're the clean window. The floor was always dirty, you just made it visible. And people don't thank you for showing them what needs to be cleaned. They resent you for making them see it. This is why your own family keeps you at arm's length. This is why church people smile at you but never invite you deeper. This is why coworkers team up against you when you've done nothing wrong. You're reminding them of the person they promised God they'd become, but never had the courage to be. Jesus said in John 3:20, "Everyone who does evil hates the light, not everyone who does terrible evil. Everyone who does evil." That means the small compromises, the little lies, the half-hearted commitments. And when light walks into a room full of people living in comfortable darkness, they don't celebrate the illumination. They attack the lamp. But it goes deeper than just being a mirror. Listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you. The world fears what it cannot control, and chosen ones cannot be bought, bribed, or blended into the crowd. This is what terrifies the system. Not just individual people, but the whole machinery of society that runs on conformity and compromise. The world needs people obedient, half asleep, predictable, controllable. It needs workers who don't ask questions, citizens who don't rock the boat, church members who tithe and sit quietly. But you can't be programmed. You can't be manipulated with money, status, or approval. You ask the questions nobody wants asked. You see through the performance. You refuse to bow when everyone else is on their knees worshipping golden calves they don't even realize they've built. You know what scared Pharaoh about the Hebrews? Not their numbers, their freedom. Even in slavery they had something he couldn't touch. Even under oppression, they worshipped a God he couldn't see. He could control their bodies, but not their spirits. And that terrified him so much he tried to kill every baby boy. The same spirit that operated in Pharaoh operates in the people who hate you without cause. They sense something in you that won't submit to their authority, won't validate their choices, won't participate in their illusions. And it enrages them. This is why they gossip about you. This is why they exclude you. This is why they try to make you doubt yourself, question your sanity, wonder if maybe you're the crazy one. Because if they can get you to doubt who you are, if they can make you shrink back, if they can silence that voice inside you that says, "This isn't right," then the mirror stops reflecting and they can go back to sleep. But here's what I need you to understand. Every attack confirms your assignment. Every act of hatred validates your calling. 2 Timothy 3:2 is crystal clear. All who desire to live godly in Christ Jesus will suffer persecution, not might, not could. Will. Your persecution is your proof. Stay with me, because in the next section I'm going to peel back the layer the enemy really doesn't want you to see, the spiritual warfare behind all this. The invisible battle that's been raging over your life since before you understood what was happening. But right now, if this is hitting you in your chest, if you're finally understanding why your life has been so hard, hit that like button so this message finds more chosen ones who feel alone. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. This isn't just a channel. This is a sanctuary for people like us. Because here's the truth they've been hiding from you, the truth that should make you stand taller instead of shrink smaller. They don't hate you because you're wrong. They hate you because deep down, they know you are right. And that terrifies them more than anything else in this world. Listen carefully, chosen one. The battle against you has never just been about you. This is spiritual warfare. I need you to stop right now and let that sink in. Every rejection that seemed to come out of nowhere, every relationship that turned cold for no reason you could name, every door that slammed shut just when you thought breakthrough was coming. That wasn't bad luck. That wasn't your fault. That was calculated spiritual attack. Ephesians 6:2 puts it plainly, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, the people who turned against you." They weren't your real enemy. They were being used by forces they couldn't see and didn't understand. But you need to understand something that will change how you see your entire life. The enemy doesn't waste ammunition on empty threats. Hell doesn't deploy its forces against people who pose no danger to the kingdom of darkness. So let me ask you something that might shake you to your core. Why have you been under such relentless attack if you're just an ordinary person? You're not ordinary, and the enemy has known it since before you did. Think about the pattern. When did the attacks get worse? Was it right after you started praying more consistently? Right after you made that commitment to God? Right after you decided to walk away from the toxic relationship? Right after you started seeing clearly for the first time in years? The attacks intensified the moment you got close to your purpose. Here's what happens in the unseen realm. Your obedience is like an alarm going off in the spirit. Every prayer you pray, every time you choose faith over fear, every moment you stand firm when everything in you wants to quit, it's like a siren blaring in hell's headquarters. And the closer you get to your assignment, the louder that alarm becomes. So what does the enemy do? He dispatches attacks before you fully awaken. He sends confusion before clarity. He stirs up conflict right when you're about to experience peace. He drains your energy the moment you're supposed to be gaining strength. You've felt it, haven't you? That sudden exhaustion that makes no medical sense. That anxiety that floods your chest right when you're trying to pray. Those old temptations that resurface the moment you're walking in breakthrough. That's not random. That's strategic spiritual warfare designed to abort what heaven has scheduled for your life. But here's where it gets personal. Think about the seasons where everything went crazy all at once. The year when your health failed, your finances collapsed, and your relationships exploded all within months of each other. You called it the worst year of your life. But what if I told you it was actually the most important year? What if hell was throwing everything it had at you because heaven was about to promote you, and the enemy knew it? Job 10 tells us something profound. When Satan wanted to attack Job, he said to God, "Have not you made a hedge about him?" Even the devil acknowledged that God's chosen ones live under divine protection. The enemy can't touch you without permission. He can't destroy what God has ordained. But he will try to make you destroy yourself through fear, through doubt, through believing the lie that you're alone in this fight. You're not alone. Every attack you've survived is proof that something greater lives inside you. Every storm you've weathered is evidence that you carry an anointing the enemy fears. Every night you made it through when you wanted to give up is a testimony that God's hand has been on you even when you couldn't feel it. In a moment I'm going to show you why the most painful rejections of your life were actually divine protection. Why God allowed certain people to walk away before they could contaminate your calling. But first, you need to see the bigger picture. 2 Corinthians 14:7 declares, "For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory." Paul called his sufferings light afflictions. This is the same man who was beaten, shipwrecked, imprisoned, and left for dead multiple times. Why did he call it light? Because he could see what was being built through the warfare. Your attacks weren't trying to destroy you. They were trying to prevent what God was building in you. Think about it. That betrayal that almost broke you. It taught you discernment you'll need for your next assignment. That financial crisis that left you desperate. It taught you to depend on God's provision in ways prosperity never could. That season of isolation when everyone abandoned you. It taught you to hear God's voice above the noise of human opinion. Hell tried to bury you, but God was planting you. If you're realizing your life wasn't just bad luck, if you're seeing the pattern for the first time, if something in your spirit is confirming that this warfare was real and you survived it, type, "I see it now," in the comments right now. That confession breaks confusion off your mind. It shifts the atmosphere over your life. Do it now. Because here's the truth they don't want you to know. The level of attack on your life is direct proof of the level of calling on your life. Nobody fights this hard against someone who doesn't matter. Hell doesn't mobilize against people who pose no threat. The intensity of your warfare is actually evidence of your importance to God's kingdom. But if your attacks have been this strategic, this relentless, this calculated, then what exactly are you carrying that hell is so desperate to keep dormant? Listen to me, dear one. I need you to go back with me for a moment. Back to that day when your best friend of 20 years suddenly stopped returning your calls. Back to that Sunday morning when the church you served faithfully for decades turned their backs on you. Back to that kitchen table where your own child looked you in the eye and said words that cut so deep you thought you'd never recover. You remember, don't you? How the pain felt like it would kill you. How you laid in bed at night replaying every conversation, every moment, trying to figure out what you did wrong. How you apologized for things you never did, begged for explanations you never got, and carried guilt for sins you never committed. That betrayal, that abandonment, that soul-crushing rejection from people you loved, people you trusted, people you would have died for. I see you. I see that wound. And tonight, God is about to show you something that will change everything you thought you understood about that pain. What if what felt like abandonment was actually divine separation? Stay with me. I know that sounds impossible right now. I know you're thinking about that marriage that ended in deception after 43 years. About those children who walked away and haven't spoken to you in 5 years. About that church family who chose sides and you weren't on the winning team. About those friends who gossiped about you, lied about you, destroyed your reputation while you were on your knees praying for them. But what if I told you that God saw something you couldn't see? Think about this. When a surgeon cuts into your body, it hurts like hell. The blade is sharp. The incision is deliberate. The pain is real. But that surgeon isn't trying to harm you. That surgeon is cutting away what will kill you if it stays. That tumor looked like part of you. It was attached to you. It had been growing in you for years, but it was never meant to be there. And if the surgeon doesn't remove it, it will destroy everything healthy around it. Some people in your life were tumors, not teammates. I know that's hard to hear, because you loved them, you invested in them, you believed in them. You gave them access to your heart, your home, your resources, your trust. But beloved, they were poisoning you, slowly, methodically, and you were so close to the situation that you couldn't see it. But God saw it. He saw how they were killing your calling. He saw how they were draining your anointing. He saw how every time you got close to breakthrough, they would say something, do something, create some crisis that pulled you back into their dysfunction. He saw how they were using your kindness as weakness, your loyalty as leverage, your love as a weapon against you. And in His mercy, He cut them out of your life. Now I need you to hear this clearly. The majority hates what they can't control. And when you started waking up to who you really are, when you began to step into your true identity, when you refused to stay bound by their expectations and their limitations and their small thinking, something shifted in the spiritual realm. They felt it before they could name it. Your freedom exposed their bondage. Your growth highlighted their stagnation. Your refusal to play their games anymore threatened the entire system they'd built to keep you manageable. 2 Corinthians 6-10 says it plainly, "Come out from among them and be separate, says the Lord." Not maybe, not if it's convenient. Come out. Be separate. Sometimes God's deliverance doesn't look like reconciliation. Sometimes it looks like separation. You spent years wondering why they walked away, questioning what you did wrong, blaming yourself for the breakdown of relationships that were never meant to last. But what if their departure was God's protection? What if He had to pull you away from people who would have killed your calling before it ever fully manifested? What if He saw the trap they were setting and used their own hatred to move you out of danger? What if the very thing that broke your heart saved your destiny? Look at Joseph. His own brothers threw him in a pit and sold him into slavery. His master's wife lied about him and got him thrown in prison. For 13 years, Joseph experienced rejection after rejection after rejection. Betrayal from family, false accusations, forgotten in a dungeon. But Genesis 50:20 records the moment Joseph finally understood, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." They meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. That person who walked away, they meant it for evil. That family member who turned on you, they meant it for evil. That church that rejected you, they meant it for evil. But God meant it for good. Because here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. They didn't walk away because you were worthless. They walked away because you were too valuable to keep under their control. Your light was getting too bright. Your voice was getting too strong. Your faith was getting too dangerous. And the only way they could maintain their power over you was to make you believe you were the problem. But you weren't the problem, beloved. You were the threat. If someone's face came to your mind while I was talking, don't name them. But I want you to type in the comments right now, "Thank you for protecting me, Godi." That's you agreeing with heaven instead of your pain. That's you releasing them and receiving the truth. Because what God is about to show you next will explain why you, out of everyone in your family line, are the first one to see these patterns. Why you're the one who had to be separated. Why you're the one carrying something that required this level of divine protection. And beloved, when you understand what that means, everything changes. You want to know the real reason they hate you. Let me tell you something that's going to cut straight to your soul. You are the first of your kind in your bloodline, and that terrifies them. Look back at your family tree. I'm not talking about going back centuries. I'm talking about what you've witnessed with your own eyes over the last 70, 80 years. Your parents, your siblings, your cousins, your aunts and uncles. What did you see? Addiction running through the family like a river of poison. Your father drank. His father drank. Your brother drinks. Same bottle, different generation. Or maybe it was poverty, not just being broke, but a poverty mindset so thick it choked every dream before it could breathe. We're not that kind of people, they'd say when anyone dared to want more. One after another. Grandma stayed with a man who beat her. Mom stayed with a man who cheated. Your sister's on her third divorce. Same story, different names, different decades. But the pattern never changed. Or maybe it was the silence. That heavy, suffocating silence where nobody talked about anything real. Sweep it under the rug. Pretend it didn't happen. Smile at church on Sunday while hell was breaking loose at home Monday through Saturday. Religious on the outside, hollow on the inside. You watched it your whole life. Emotional distance so cold it could freeze your soul. Nobody hugged. Nobody said, "I love you." nobody asked how you really felt. 3 generations of people living in the same house, eating at the same table, and never really knowing each other. You saw it all, didn't you? And here's what broke your heart: you saw it repeat. Over and over and over. Like watching the same tragic movie play on loop for 60 years. But then something happened. Something shifted inside you. You woke up one morning and a voice you couldn't ignore whispered in your spirit, "Not me. Not my children. Not my grandchildren. This ends here." You are the first to say it. The first to mean it. The first to actually do something about it. Exodus 20:9 warns us that the iniquity of the fathers visits the children to the 3rd and 4th generation. 3rd and 4th generation. That means your grandmother's pain became your mother's prison. Your mother's wounds became your childhood. But here's what most people miss. That same verse tells us God shows mercy to thousands of generations for those who love Him. Thousands, not 3, not 4, thousands. You are the breach in the dam. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine generations of your family like water trapped behind a massive concrete wall. Pressure building year after year, decade after decade. Pain accumulating. Dysfunction compounding. Curses multiplying. All the poisoned water just sitting there, stagnant, toxic, going nowhere. And then God raises up one person. Just one, not the smartest, not the richest, not the most educated, but the one who's willing to let Him crack them open. And when that crack appears in the dam, everything changes. The water starts to flow differently. Future generations get a chance to run clean. That's you, chosen one. You're the crack in the dam. But here's what nobody told you about being a generational curse breaker. Here's why the hatred is so intense, so personal, so relentless. When you are the one called to break what's been normal for 50, 60, 70 years, of course the majority in your family will resist you. Of course they'll call you crazy. Of course they'll say you think you're better than everyone else. Because you're not just changing yourself, you're exposing them. Your healing makes their dysfunction visible. Your boundaries reveal their manipulation. Your peace highlights their chows. Your sobriety convicts their addiction. Your healthy marriage condemns their toxic patterns. They don't hate you because you're doing something wrong. They hate you because you're doing something different. And different is dangerous to people who've built their entire identity around, "This is just how our family is." Your grandmother couldn't break it. She didn't have the strength. Your mother couldn't break it. She didn't have the support. Your siblings won't break it. They don't have the calling. But you, God looked at you before you were born and said, this one can handle it. This one will stand alone if they have to. This one loves the future more than they fear the past." In the next section, we're going to deal with something even more painful: relationships and boundaries. Why not everyone deserves access to your light. Why some people in your family can't come with you into your next season. It's going to sting, but you need to hear it. But right now, if you know you're the different one in your family, if you know you're the first to say, "No more," type, "It ends with me," in the comments. That's not pride talking. That's not arrogance. That's agreement with your assignment. That's you telling heaven and hell that you accept the weight of being a history maker. Because here's what they don't understand, and what you need to remember when the hatred gets heavy. You're not just carrying your own story. You're carrying the future of people you haven't even met yet. Your great-grandchildren will breathe easier because you chose to breathe truth. They'll love healthier because you chose to heal. They'll dream bigger because you chose to break free. The majority hates you because you're rewriting the ending. And some people would rather stay comfortable in a familiar hell than follow you into an uncertain heaven. But you were built for this. Let me tell you something that's going to sting a little, but you need to hear it. The biggest mistake a chosen one can make is giving access to people who have no respect for their calling. You've been doing it your whole life, haven't you? Opening your door, opening your heart, opening your spirit to people who showed up empty-handed and left with pieces of you they had no right to take. That cousin who only calls when they need something. That church friend who drains you dry with their constant negativity and then disappears when you need prayer. That family member who mocks your faith behind your back but expects you to show up to every function with a smile. You've been taught that being a good Christian means being available to everyone. That having boundaries makes you selfish. That saying no makes you un-Christ-like. That's a lie, and it's been costing you everything. Jesus himself had boundaries. When the crowds pressed in, he withdrew to lonely places to pray. When his own family questioned his ministry, he kept moving forward. When Peter tried to stop him from going to the cross, Jesus said, "Get behind me, Satan." Did you catch that? Jesus called Peter his beloved disciple Satan in that moment. Why? Because Peter was speaking from a place that didn't understand the mission. And Jesus knew that even well-meaning people can become weapons in the enemy's hand if you give them access to your calling. Listen to me carefully. The enemy doesn't just attack you head-on anymore. He's smarter than that. He uses access. He sends people who look like blessings but function like curses. People who say they support you but subtly undermine you. People who claim they're concerned about you but really just want to monitor your progress so they can gossip about your setbacks. Proverbs 4:23 tells us, "Above all else guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." Guard. That's a military term. That's active protection. That's not leaving your gate wide open and hoping the right people walk through. You know what's been happening? You've been shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were never designed for you. You've been dimming your lights so others can stay comfortable in their darkness. You've been apologizing for your growth because it makes them feel convicted about their stagnation. And all the while your sacred fire has been dying. Your spirit is a sacred fire, beloved. God lit it. Hell fears it. But it needs the right fuel to burn. When you surround yourself with the right people, people who honor your calling, who speak life, who protect your peace, they're like logs on that fire. They make it burn brighter, hotter, stronger. But when you give access to the wrong people, the complainers, the mockers, the energy vampires, they're like wet blankets thrown on that flame. They don't put it out completely, but they make it smoke. They make it struggle. They make it so weak that when the real battles come, you've got nothing left to fight with. How many times have you hung up the phone after talking to certain people and felt completely depleted? How many times have you left a conversation feeling worse than when you entered it? How many times have you shared your vision with someone only to have them look at you like you're crazy? That's not love. That's access without respect. And you've been giving it away like it's free. Here's what you need to do. And I'm not asking you, I'm telling you as someone who's walked this road. Limit your phone calls with constantly negative people. You don't owe them hours of your day. Love, pray for them. But don't let them rent space in your soul for free. Protect your alone time with God like it's oxygen. Because it is. Without it, you suffocate spiritually. Turn off the phone. Lock the door. Guard that time like your life depends on it. Because it does. Don't overshare your vision with people who mocked you before. They haven't earned the right to hear what God is building in you. Jesus said in Matthew 6, "Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs." That sounds harsh, but it's wisdom. Some people aren't ready for what you carry. And here's what's going to happen when you start setting these boundaries. People are going to call you distant. They're going to say you've changed. They're going to accuse you of thinking you're better than them. Let them. Because you're not being distant, you're being obedient. You haven't changed, you've awakened. And you're not better than them, you're just finally becoming who God created you to be. In a moment, I'm going to ask you a question that will force you to decide. Are you going to keep shrinking for the majority, or step fully into who God says you are? But first, if you know you've been too available to the wrong people, if you've been letting energy vampires drain you dry, if you've been dimming your lights so others can stay comfortable, just type "no more" in the comments right now. That's not just a comment. That's a boundary in the spirit. That's you telling hell that access is being revoked today. You are not obligated to dim your lights so others can stay comfortable in the dark. But now that you understand boundaries, we need to talk about something even more dangerous. Something the enemy has been using to keep you isolated even after you've set boundaries. Because there's a difference between protecting your energy and understanding why the majority was never meant to accept you in the first place. Listen to me, chosen one. Right now, this very moment, you're standing at a crossroads you've been approaching your entire life. And tonight, you have to choose. You can spend the rest of your days apologizing for who God made you to be. You can keep shrinking, keep dimming your light, keep pretending you're just like everybody else. Or you can stand up today and declare, "No more. I'm done hiding." Let me take you back, way back, to when you were a child. You felt it even then, didn't you? You were different, more sensitive, more aware. You saw things other kids didn't see. You felt things they didn't feel. While they were playing their simple games, you were carrying questions too big for a 7-year-old heart. You'd stare at the stars and feel homesick for a place you'd never been. You'd walk into a room and sense things nobody else noticed. Your family thought you were strange. "Why can't you just be normal?" they'd ask. But you didn't know how to answer because normal felt like a costume that didn't fit. Then you grew up, and the pattern didn't stop. It intensified. Every job you worked, there was always someone who targeted you for no reason. Every church you attended, there was always that group that kept you at arm's length. Every relationship you tried to build, there was always this invisible barrier you couldn't explain. You watched people with half your integrity get promoted while you got passed over. You watched folks with shallow faith get celebrated while your deep questions got you labeled as difficult. You tried to fit in. God knows you tried. You adjusted your personality. You softened your words. You dimmed your light until it was barely a flicker. You became smaller and smaller, hoping that maybe, just maybe, if you were small enough, they'd finally accept you. But it never worked, did it? And now here you are, 70 years old, 80-90, sitting in front of a screen hearing these words in this exact season of your life. Still carrying that same question, what's wrong with me? But I'm about to show you something that will change everything. Picture 2 doors in front of you right now. 2 doors. And you must walk through one of them tonight. Door number 1 is safety. It's compromise. It's the door where you keep pretending, where you keep apologizing, where you spend whatever time you have left on this earth trying to make people comfortable with your existence. Behind that door is acceptance from the majority. But it comes at a cost. Behind that door, you'll die with your song still inside you. You'll meet Jesus having never fully become who he created you to be. Door number 2 is purpose. Yes, there will still be seasons of isolation. Yes, there will still be moments when the crowd doesn't understand you. But behind that door is deep peace. The kind of peace that comes from finally walking in your true identity. Behind that door is freedom. Behind that door is the life God has been trying to give you for decades, if you just stop running from who you are. Jesus himself stood at this crossroads in John 6. He preached a hard message about being the bread of life. And the Bible says in verse 666, "From that time many of his disciples went back and walked no more with him." They left, the majority walked away. And Jesus turned to the 12 and asked, "Will ye also go away?" Peter answered with words that should be carved into your heart tonight. "Lord, to whom shall we go? Thou hast the words of eternal life." Peter chose door number 2. He chose purpose over popularity. He chose truth over comfort. Now it's your turn. You need to understand something that's going to rock you. If the majority never hated you, you'd probably still be trying to be one of them. Their rejection wasn't your destruction. It was your redirection. Every door they slammed in your face was God steering you away from a life too small for your calling. Every time they pushed you out, God was pushing you forward. Their hate didn't happen to you. It happened for you. The enemy wanted that hate to break you, but God used it to wake you, to make you ask the questions that led you here tonight, to make you hungry for truth instead of acceptance. 1 Peter 2:10 declares, "But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, an holy nation, a peculiar people." Peculiar, that word in Greek means belonging to God exclusively, set apart, different by divine design. You're not strange, you're set apart. You're not broken, you're chosen, and tonight you choose to stop apologizing for it. In the final 2 parts of this message, I'm going to speak directly over your life. A commissioning, and then a final charge that the enemy never wanted you to hear. Words that will seal your decision and activate your calling. But right now, if you're choosing door number 2, if you're choosing God's door, I need you to type these words in the comments. I won't dim my light. Put it in writing, seal it. Let heaven take notice. You are not crazy. You are not cursed. You are called. And tonight you choose to stop apologizing for it. The question is no longer why they hated you. The question is, what will you do with the freedom their rejection gave you? But now I need you to stop looking at yourself through their eyes. Stop measuring your worth by how many times you've been rejected. Stop believing the lie that something's wrong with you just because the majority couldn't handle what you carry. Because right now, I want you to see yourself the way heaven sees you. Look at what you've walked through. No, really look at it. Don't gloss over it. Don't minimize it. That health scare that should have taken you out at 63, you're still here. That financial collapse that left you choosing between medication and groceries, you survived it. That divorce that broke your heart into pieces you thought could never be put back together, you're still standing. That moment you buried your spouse and wondered if you'd ever feel whole again, yet here you are, listening to this message, still seeking God, still believing. Do you understand what that means? Every single time they tried to break you, heaven recorded that you kept going. Every tear you cried in secret was collected in bottles before the throne. Every night you wanted to give up but chose to get up the next morning anyway, that wasn't just willpower. That was divine backing flowing through mortal veins. Psalm 16 says it plainly. You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. Your pain wasn't ignored. It was documented, catalogued, treasured. You are not weak, chosen one. You are refined. Let me tell you something about gold that will change how you see every hardship you've endured. Gold doesn't become valuable in the jewelry store. It becomes valuable in the fire. When raw gold is pulled from the earth, it's mixed with dirt, rocks, impurities. It looks nothing like what you see in a wedding ring or a crown. But when that gold is placed in fire heated to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, something miraculous happens. The impurities rise to the surface and burn away. What's left is pure, precious, priceless. That's what's been happening to you your entire life. Every betrayal was fire burning away the need for human approval. Every rejection was heat purifying your dependence on people's opinions. Every season of isolation was flame removing everything that wasn't eternally valuable. The hate didn't ruin you, it refined you. The rejection didn't break you, it shaped you into something the world has never seen before. 1 Peter 1:17 confirms it. These trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold, though your faith is far more precious than mere gold. More precious than mere gold. Did you catch that? Your tested faith, your refined spirit, your purified heart, heaven values that more than every ounce of gold ever pulled from the earth. But here's what breaks my heart. You've spent decades thinking you were the problem, wondering what was wrong with you, apologizing for being different, trying to dim your light so others would feel more comfortable. But tonight, God is speaking a different word over your life. You are a lighthouse. When ships are lost in the storm, they don't resent the lighthouse for being bright. They run toward it for safety. Yes, some people hate your light, but that's because darkness always hates what exposes it. Your very presence makes people uncomfortable with their own compromise. Your peace convicts their anxiety. Your faith challenges their doubt. Your endurance shames their excuses. You are a curse breaker. Every generational pattern of poverty, addiction, dysfunction, fear, you're the one standing in the gap saying, "No more. This ends with me." Your grandmother prayed prayers she never saw answered. Your grandfather carried dreams he never saw fulfilled. But you're the walking answer to prayers your ancestors whispered into the darkness 70 years ago. You are a generational pioneer. You're not just living your life, you're blazing a trail for children and grandchildren who will walk in freedom because you refuse to stay in bondage. Every chain you break off yourself falls off 10 people behind you who you'll never even meet. Heaven's perspective on you is nothing like earth's judgment of you. The majority sees you as odd, difficult, too much, too intense. But when God looks at you, He sees a warrior who's been through boot camp and is finally ready for deployment. He sees gold that survived the furnace. He sees a vessel that's been emptied of self so He can fill it with glory. You survived what should have killed you. That alone is proof that your assignment isn't finished. That alone is evidence that hell tried to take you out early because it saw something about your future that terrified the kingdom of darkness. Romans 10:31 asks the question that should echo in your spirit right now. If God is for us, who can be against us? Not who will be against us, who can be? The answer, no one, not successfully, not permanently, not in any way that matters eternally. In these last minutes, I'm going to ask you to do something simple but powerful, something that will mark this night in heaven. If you know deep down that this word was for you, if something in your spirit recognized truth in what I've been saying, type, "I am chosen," not forgotten, in the comments right now. Let your own fingers prophesy over your life. Let heaven see that you're not just hearing this message, you're receiving it. Because here's the final truth you need to understand as we move toward the close. The majority may never understand you. Your family might keep you at arm's length until the day you die. Your old friends might never call back. The church might never give you the microphone. But heaven has always recognized you. Chosen one, look how far you've come tonight. You started this message confused, carrying a question you've whispered for decades. Why do they hate me when I've done nothing wrong? But now, right now, you're standing on the other side of that question. You're no longer asking why they hate you. You understand that their hatred is confirmation. Their rejection is recognition. Their discomfort around you is their spirit sensing what you carry. From confusion to revelation. From victim to victor. From apologizing for your difference to owning your divine assignment. But here's what matters most. What are you going to do with this truth? You can close this video, feel inspired for 20 minutes, then go back to shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. Or you can let this moment mark you, brand you, change you forever. Listen to me carefully, dear one. From this night forward, may you never again apologize for the oil on your life. May you never again dim your light because someone else's darkness can't handle the brightness. May you never again question your worth because people who've never met God can't recognize His presence in you. From this night forward, may every room you enter feel your light, whether they like it or not. You're 70 years old, 80, 90, good. That means you've got decades of evidence that you've survived what was meant to destroy you. You've outlasted their hatred. You've outlived their predictions. You're still here, still standing, still carrying fire in your bones. And now God is saying it's time to stop hiding that fire under a basket. Jesus said it plainly in Matthew 54, "You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden." Cannot, not should not might not, cannot. You are that city, beloved. You are that light. The majority might squint at you. They might cover their eyes. They might curse your brightness and call you too much, too intense, too different. But here's what they can't do. They can't turn you off. Because your light doesn't come from you. It comes through you. And what God has lit, man cannot extinguish. But this light comes with responsibility. You must pray more boldly now. Not timid prayers, not if it be your will, prayers when God already told you his will. Pray with the authority of someone who knows they're speaking to their Father, not begging a stranger. You must speak truth with kindness but without fear. The world doesn't need more people who stay silent to keep the peace. It needs voices who will speak life into dead situations, even when that truth makes the room uncomfortable. You must protect your energy like it's sacred, because it is. Stop giving your time, your attention, your emotional labor to people who've proven they don't value it. You're not being mean. You're being wise. Even Jesus didn't cast his pearls before swine. And you must refuse to chase the approval of the majority. Chase God's approval. Chase righteousness. Chase purpose. But stop running after people who've already shown you they'll never celebrate you. Because here's the truth that's going to echo in eternity. Some will hate you. Some will envy you. Some will reject you until their last breath. But a remnant will be healed because you chose to shine. A remnant will be awakened because you refused to stay silent. A remnant will be set free because you walked in your assignment, even when the majority hated it. You think your life is just about you surviving. No, your survival is someone else's hope. Your scars are someone else's roadmap out of hell. Your willingness to be hated by the majority is saving the minority who desperately needs what you carry. There's a grandmother right now sitting in her kitchen at 2 in the morning, wondering if she should just give up. She needs to see that you at your age, with your story, are still fighting. There's a man who buried his wife last month and he's questioning if God even cares. He needs to hear your voice declare that God is faithful even in the valley. You are not just chosen to endure their hatred. You're chosen to shine anyway, to love anyway, to speak anyway, to keep going anyway. If tonight something shifted inside you, if something ancient and eternal just woke up in your spirit, I need you to do something right now. Write one sentence in the comments starting with, "From tonight on, I will," and finish that sentence. Seal your decision. Let heaven witness your commitment. Let other chosen ones see they're not alone. If you know you've found your community, subscribe and turn on notifications. This isn't entertainment, this is training for chosen ones. This is where the remnant gathers. And send this to one person you know carries a light the world never understood. Don't explain it. Just say, "Watch this." Let this message do what it's anointed to do. Walk with confidence, move with purpose, stand with power. Because even if the majority hates the chosen ones, heaven has already decided you are needed here.